Say, goddamn. You said, all right. I said, let's do a podcast. Let's sit down. Let's get a coffee. Let's just talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. Coffee with the Sam. Got a little podcast. Grab yourself a little coffee and a podcast.
So, thanks for joining me. First, how do you take your coffee?
Mine's an oat milk flat white.
Oat milk, very fitnessy.
Oat milk flat white. I don't do over milk. That's why. So,
Fair enough. Fair
oat milk
enough.
for me.
Oat milk, nice. Strong, weak?
Strong as possible. Stronger the better.
Yeah, get you up in the morning.
Yeah.
Get ready for training. So as a young Kane Hemmings,
Yes.
was you into any other sports growing up? Or was it always just football?
I played cricket for a couple of years when I was must have been 13, 14, 15 maybe. It's all right, to be fair, just enjoyed it, but to be honest with you, I never really took football seriously, but it was never something I thought I would end up doing.
That's pretty cool thing for you to say, because obviously in your you did a bit for a book that one of your old coaches wrote, and you said that the love for the game actually disappeared when you started to go into professional football, because you weren't just being that young kid that could just turn up and not take it seriously. So that's quite a good point for you to touch on, because as professionals you hear that quite a lot, and that's where they all end up not going off the rails as such, and people say it's the money. But did you find that it was the pressure that was taken away from the love of the game? External pressures.
Yeah, definitely, because I remember when I was young, say I was 14, 15, lads are in academies, getting ready to, they know they're going to go professional. I'm still playing my mates at Tamworth. I used to turn up on a Saturday and I genuinely didn't used to know who we're playing against. I'd just turn up and right, lads, who we got today? And just loved it. Do you know what I mean? And then once you're in that, once you're in that situation where you're having to go every day and train, and it's serious, and it's not, the pressure is built by everyone's got something riding on it. Do you know what I mean? So it's there's no passengers. It's dog eat dog. Everyone's out for themselves in some regard. And for me, especially when I first went into that environment, I struggled. My first year at Rangers, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I was crying at the airport at Christmas time, saying, "My mum, I don't want to go back." Hated it.
So that I was just about to ask you, what was that like going from Tamworth to Rangers? Because to me, Tamworth is going from Tamworth to Rangers is a big move.
Yeah, well, it was leaving school to be in full-time football, and I'd never been in that environment before. Do you know what I mean? So I literally had my prom on the Saturday, flew to Glasgow on the Sunday, and started training on the Monday.
So a big, massive change.
Everything changed within the space of 2 days. I was still finishing my exams the week before we was meant to be in training.
So
then you go in and you're doing running sessions, and I didn't know any run, so I used to go out for literally 10 minutes, run around the street and think, oh, that'd be enough. Because I'd never done a running session. I didn't know what a running session was. I didn't know any of this stuff. So it was massive.
From child to adult overnight.
Yeah.
And
exactly, yeah. And
from
you're expected to. I was just expected to just be able to do what everyone else was doing straight away.
What did that?
And it was I've never heard of half of this stuff before.
So I just want to play football.
Yeah.
How did that feel as a youngster from playing at Tamworth and from Burton yourself, so local to Tamworth, getting that call up to make it to Rangers? Before you even gone there and your life's changed and all the pressure's come, what was that feeling like?
I genuinely remember just thinking I'm going to start getting paid now. This is brilliant. Because I didn't have much money growing up. I didn't have we had everything for us, but we weren't rich. It was just me, my mum, my brothers, and my sister. So like we weren't rich, and I just remember thinking, oh, I'm like brilliant. I'm getting paid to go and play football now, like class. But then you get there, and he was like, oh God, like,
all the
I wish I could go home.
All the pressures. So was that after just your first time away that you started to have the mum, I don't want to go back?
Yeah. So even when you're there, like you can't get home much. The thing that was difficult for me when I was up there was, so I lived in digs with 6 other lads, and you train all week, and at the weekend they'd all go home, and I'd just be in the digs on my own, just me and the landlady. So it's like, well, you can't drive, you're not old enough to go out. You're in kind of where the training ground is. It's kind of middle of nowhere, so like you can't really get about, and you're just there all weekend on your own, in your own thoughts, thinking I could be at home with my mates now. You like, do you know what I mean? You're speaking to your mates. At the time, it was like MSN and like black BBM, and like.
Right, you're making me feel old.
All, like, you're making it, parties and that.
You're making us look old now. You're making us look old now. Talking about MSN.
Yeah, yeah. But like they're all like doing stuff, and I'm just there like sitting there on my own.
So when we get on to what happened in the future, further on from that, obviously it was a few years on. Do you think this is where the seed started to be sown to what ended up happening? So
yeah, because I got very used to, and very, even now, I like not so much now because I recognize it's not good for me, but I would revert to, or I just want to be on my own if things weren't going well, because that's how, if things weren't going well, I'd be on my own and I'd deal with it. Well, I weren't dealing with it, but
yeah,
I had to deal with it. So when I got older, I was just used to being on my own all the time, but that's not what I should have been doing. Do you know what I mean? I should have been, once you get older, I should have been
talking,
like getting out, talking, but like getting to see people or go and try. But I'd just like go home and lock myself away, because that's what I thought I wanted to do. But
it was the right thing.
It weren't open.
So young lad, picked up from Tamworth, dropped in Rangers. Dream move, you'd say, at that age, really?
Yeah, definitely. It was just a dream to, because I had a few offers at the time. Like I could have. West Brom wanted to take me. Everton wanted me to go and train before I went and train with Rangers. So there was like quite a few, like throughout the years when I was at Tamworth, there was always a few teams that wanted me. I just never wanted to go, because I went to Derby when I was like 10 or 11. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't really want to be there. So I always thought to myself, from them, I'm just going to go play with my mates. Like, I'm not going to another academy again. Like, I want to kick a ball about. But this was the first time I'd actually went to a place since, and actually quite enjoyed it. Actually quite enjoyed like the training, and like obviously, well, I don't think you've been, but like the Rangers training ground, it's like you drive into it and it's unbelievable. Like you walk in and just go, wow, do you know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm going to go work for the next 2 years. And it's everything about it kind of blew me away, and I'd done quite well on the trials and stuff. So I was actually really excited to go and see what it was.
Yeah, you had a very, very successful career at Rangers, right? So like you were coming up, you said that you were struggling with being away from home and being a family man away from your family and stuff, as a boy at the time. Still went there and had a pretty successful career. You actually walked out on a Champions League game, right? With Rangers?
Yeah. Well, I came on. Yeah, I came on. I'm taking it as an appearance because it's in the Champions League, so I'm claiming it.
What was that like? Like, I don't want to hear from Premiership football. I don't want to hear from all these. I want to hear from the people down the bottom who have tried their hardest and still pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Yeah. And I like your story. That's why it gripped me so much. And my feelings that I've had going through, walking out to certain stadiums and whatever. I'm never one of the best. I was never one of the best in the country. I was never one of the best in the world. But I told myself I was, and I felt like I was. So, like, what was that feeling like walking out or coming on, making an appearance at a Champions League game?
It was, I can't really remember, but I just, at the time we were losing. So it was a bit like, go on, get yourself on, then try and score a goal. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them moments. I think I only played about 10 minutes. I remember I gave the ball away, and a funny thing is the guy who tackled me, his name was Ricardinho, and he come to Oxford when I was there years later, and I didn't. He was like, I was saying to him, like, where have you played now? And he was like, oh, I was at Malmo. And I was like, oh, when was you there? And he was like, this year. And I was like, did you play against Rangers in the Champions League? And he was like, yeah, I played left back, but I came on the right. So I always remember like him, and like that night was weird. Like it was like when you come on in that kind of game and that level of, I wasn't good enough to be on that pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like you look back now and what am I doing playing in the Champions League? Do you know what I mean? But at the time, it was just like, it was class. I remember like texting my mates and after, like, oh, you come on, and you got a decent bonus for it as well. So I was buzzing. I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get a good bonus for this coming on the Champions League and stuff. And it was a bit surreal, to be honest. I just remember thinking, like, just a lad from Burton played in the Champions, like came on in the Champions League. It was weird. It was weird, to be honest.
Now that
and I don't know where that top is from the night, but that's why I'm raging.
What's that? Sorry,
I don't know where the top is from that night.
Oh no.
I know.
But
I know.
that
I don't know where it is.
For me, like when I started obviously reading up a bit deeper on you and knowing you've been out in the Champions League, I was excited to ask you about that, and that's upsetting for that to be taken away from you because all you thought about is work.
Yeah.
And that feeling of, you imagine, I don't know, what would 15-year-old Kane Hemmings be like when you say, bro, you're going to walk out on a Champions League game? Like, probably thought about that running around your garden. Like,
I think if I'd been like starting the game, I think it would have been a bit more surreal, a bit more like excitement. But because you come on with like 10 minutes to go and
you've got
it's
a job
like,
to do.
The game's a bit more desperation to it. Like, we need a goal kind of thing. It was a bit more. I look back at it now and I'm proud that, like, do you know what I mean? It's something you can say, like, I played in the Champions League, but well, some people try and take it away from me, say it's just a quiet, but I'm not letting them have that.
But I think that's same again. Getting on to what we're going to get onto. That's couldn't bring on those pressures of people saying that, like, oh well, you've never signed for Man United, so. Like, you are still a professional footballer and you've still made an appearance at the Champions League. You've played in FA Cup matches. You've been to big stadiums around the world. And I think that can add to those pressures of people saying, well, you didn't do this or you haven't been there. It's like, well, it's just...
there's always going to be people that, like, say for instance, so I'm... this season, I scored over my 100th league goal, and that's something I'm really proud of. And there's still like a few things people be like, oh, the ones in Scotland don't count now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, they do. You only score them like with what's in front of you. Do you know what I mean? So they do count, but there's always going to be people that try and take little things away.
Haters,
whether it's out of banter, whether it's out of banter or they're haters, it's it is what it is, isn't it?
Obviously,
that's just the world that you live in.
With all stuff like that, with the mental health and stuff being so big, it's okay when it's the right people. Yeah. Like, I suppose if your partner dropped it in there, or when your son grows up and he drops it in there, you'd be like, oh. But if it's like you said in your write up, if it's trolls that don't even know you, then it probably comes a bit more. You start to debate that and start to change your mind on what you think is a goal and achievable for you.
I think I would have definitely used to. Yeah, now I'm just
meh.
Don't really pay attention to it now. Do you know what I mean? But used to, like, definitely, like, I definitely let people, like, you read comments and stuff, and you think, has he got a point? Has he not got a point? Like, and it plays in your mind then going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, very successful career at Rangers. Skip a few years. A really successful career or time at Dundee. You were linked at that time because you were such a rated player. A £2 million move to Beijing. Linked to the Jamaican squad.
Yeah.
26 goals in that season in all competitions.
Yeah. I tried to get my Jamaican passport for whatever reason. I couldn't get it. I was meant to. I spoke to the manager and stuff, so I was meant to go away, but for whatever technical reason, my struggled to get a passport.
Then you were nominated for the PFA Player of the Year, and also got the SPFL Player of the Month. Whilst you were there. So for a still quite a young player, very successful season, but it wasn't all as it seemed, right?
No, it was on the pitch brilliant, like training brilliant, like it's just when you're, like I said before, when you've got I don't know how to explain it, like when you just go home every night and it's just you and your thoughts, and for whatever reason things aren't making you happy and you're just there alone. I just hated it. I just hated life. I just hated, like, I was bitter. I was like, just a lot of things. And just that season kind of like I said in the thing, just broke down at the end of the season, crying, thinking like, what is wrong with me? Like, why do I feel like this way? And even at that time, I remember I did speak to someone at the time, but I just weren't like, I didn't vibe with them. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not speaking to anyone again. Like this guy don't get me. Like he's telling me like, do you know, I don't know if you've like had like thirst or like spoke to anyone. They're like, he's like, what do you like doing? And I'm like, I like love music. And like, I had some decks at the time. He's like, just go on the decks. Like that'll like try that. And I'm like, is that the solution to like why I feel sad every day? Like just make a mixtape. I was like, this guy don't get me. I'm not vibing with him. So I just kind of left it. And I don't know. It was just that, I think it was a combination of like the season before. It was a combination of things. So when I left Rangers to go into Cowden Beef, it was an ego like hit. Like you go from having your own flat to like what I thought was a nice car to you have to get rid of all that stuff. You can't afford it anymore. Now you're at college 3 days a week, to kind of picking it back up again at Barnsley, moving home, which is the first time I've been home in 6 years, like on a regular basis, to then going away again on your own, like
no one to talk to,
and just trying to like, I just couldn't process everything, and like I was just sad like all the time, like, and I just went to like, I drink midweek and go out like every weekend, just reckless, like train on a Monday, still drunk, probably the best player there because I just didn't care, but just drunk, like stinking. And I just didn't, but now I kind of got that, the pressures of football, but not just football, just being away from football.
So yeah, you say you'd spoken to people, but you just weren't. You're just not feeling. Could that have been your age, or maybe the stigma around not feeling okay? Because it's only been the last, say, 2-3 years that men mainly will happily sit there and say, "I'm not okay."
I knew I wasn't okay, but I just didn't know how to express it. I didn't. When I look back now, I didn't tell that guy what was really wrong at the time. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I avoided stuff like talking about what I feel like when I'm on my own, what thoughts run through my head, feelings about childhood and my dad, and thinking about him, and feelings in general. I didn't really open up to him. So that's probably why he just came back with go on the decks. Do you know what I mean? Like he probably didn't have much for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were still actually, you thought you were opening up, but you weren't opening up.
Yeah, I didn't really, I didn't know how to process in my mind. It took me a long time to really not figure out, but like finally, once I spoke to someone, actually open up and tell them all the things that are like on my mind and what I think about.
So when you had your real feeling of, you know what, why do I feel like this? Was that then you spoke to somebody, or was it quite a few like years after that you just kept suffering with this?
No, not until I don't even know what to call it, but let's call it a breakdown, where I'm telling people like I just want to die, I want to kill, like stuff like that. Not until that point, not until Soph really was like, right, we're calling someone, you have to speak to someone. Did I really address it?
Yeah, the woman sort you out.
Until
Love that.
yeah, kind of, yeah. And like before that, I was just like sad. Like I love being in the house. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot. Like Soph sometimes has to force me to go out the house, but I just feel comfortable here. But it's not good for me to be just in sitting all the time. Do you know what I mean? But that's when you're just a young lad going from club to club to club, and you have no one really around you. That's all you do.
You feel
so that's what you get comfortable with. Yeah, you just feel alone all the time. So you almost get comfortable being in your own, on your own, being alone in your own thoughts.
And did you have like a manager, like not a manager, yeah, someone who, what they call agent? Did you ever talk to your agent? Do you feel like you could talk to your agent, or were you just literally like, well, then I might screw up the next move or the next big move for me?
Nah, I was just never that close with my agent at the time. That the agent I was with at the time, it wasn't that kind of relationship where I would have spoke to him. I remember I remember trying to speak to people about it, not like if people were speaking, I'd be like, yeah. Say people, when people are talking about mental health now, is if it's something you've suffered with, and I wouldn't necessarily say I've suffered with it, but I've experienced parts of it. It's very. I feel like people who are going through it, who want to speak about it, are very easily recognized. Do you know what I mean? The way that they kind of enter conversations and the way that they ask, that they're probing to speak about something.
Yeah,
I was one of them. Like, can someone ask me if I'm okay, and then I'll speak to you, rather than just being like, hi.
So you could have
to my mates, like, can I speak to you about this? Because I'm
so you could have a conversation about it, but it was someone else triggering the conversation, so people don't think that it's you that has the problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because it's so scary to talk about, and especially obviously men.
Yeah, men don't want to show any weakness.
And young, cocky, successful footballer. Yeah, you don't want to say
black men, 100%. Black men do not want to speak about their problems.
Yeah,
because what are black men? They're cool, they're arrogant, they've got a swag about. Nothing's ever wrong with us, but half of us are dying inside. You know what I mean? We're just not going to speak about it because it might ruin our image.
Yeah. So like, and especially
that is not cool. That is what is not cool. Like feeling sad every single day for a reason that you're not unsure of. That's not cool. Like that's sad.
Do you feel that maybe youngsters in your same position that are coming through the ranks now, do you think they need a better support network? Or do you think they get that now?
I think they do, yeah. I think it's important that they have people within the game that they're close to and people outside the game that they're close to. I think it's difficult for clubs to put that in place because it's not really, it is their responsibility, but also it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you're there to do a job. Like, once you leave, it's like how far can they go to make sure that you're okay? Like, it's nice if they did, but in any job, it's not really their responsibility. I just feel it's important that kids that are grown up now playing, that they have a close network of people who understand the situation that they're in, which is difficult to find sometimes as well. Like if you're a sport, like someone who understands, like if you come home and like start talking about football and what went wrong and stuff like that, to say, like if I went and spoke about my mum, she wouldn't know what I'm talking about probably. But having someone like your friends who can relate to what you're saying, and then people within the game that you can speak to as well, it's important.
And do you feel that obviously because times have changed very quickly, in the last, say, 5 to 10 years around mental health.
Yeah.
Obviously, social media plays a massive part in the positivity and also probably 8% negativity. And do you feel, obviously, you were struggling with that because you're in the limelight at the end of the day, and if you're not, I go to work. If I do my job, the job I'm doing now, I don't want to do, but the job I'm doing now, I go to work. If I do it badly, I come home. That's it. Whereas you go do a job. If you do it badly, you come home. You're being told for weeks later you did your job bad. And to some people,
and
it's
you might not be doing your job the week after as well because someone else is doing it for you. You're sitting next to the manager.
And then it gets even worse because they come out again, right? The trolls and the people who like to have a say. I think a lot of people forget with sports people. They see the weekend games, they see you on TV and say, he's having a bad game or he's had a few bad games, but they forget that you're human.
Yeah, of course. They don't know what's going on in your personal life that might be leading to all this. Like, for instance, when Carter was born, you're tired all the time. Like, you're up in the night, you're doing the night feed, you're tired when you're training, and you get home and you're doing the feeds. And like, for like newborn baby, like, it's, imagine how many players are playing now that have a newborn baby that are just tired all the time, and then they're trying to take that into a game on a Saturday, and you're 3-4% down from what you usually would be. But that them fine margins are what are going to define the game, and it might be you that makes a mistake. It might be you that misses an opportunity in the last minute because for whatever reason that you're not there. That's just an example that I'm giving, but they pay to get into the stadium, so they feel like they can say whatever they want and voice their opinion whichever way they want. We're the fans, we'll do what we want. Paul.
Did you have any troubles with like outside pressures of like obviously supporting a family and money, etc. But did you have problems with people saying things, social media, that type thing, that added on to where you already were at?
Well, when I was at Barnsley, you take it quite personally, but I think what I realise now is you can't take it personally because it's just like it's just people in their emotions.
Side using their emotions, and you kind of understand that because footballers are performers. But when does that?
Yeah.
When
that line cross? Yeah. When do people cross that line? It's like
forget that you're human.
That's why it. Yeah. Of course. That's why I will never. I very rarely tweet about football or anything that I think about football, because who am I? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I giving my opinion? Like, because you can guarantee a lot of the players, like, people tweet something, say I have a bad game and someone tweets, Kane Hemmings, he was rubbish today. Most players will, like, a lot of players search their name after games to see what people are saying about them.
That's not good.
No, it's not. That's why I don't do it, but players do, because they want to, like, they're seeking that, like, gratification. Do you know what I mean? All the time, and that's when you're not getting it, and it's all negative. It can have a massive impact on how, like, people perform the next week, because they know that they've got all these people on their back. You can't not let it affect you almost. Do you know what I mean?
Especially if you were then going back to having nobody to talk to, with all these negative things being thrown at you, with your own negative thoughts, because at the end of the day, you want to perform. So you're telling yourself you did shit. Then you've got thousands
I'm already
of people
unhappy with my performance.
And then
exactly. Yeah.
And then you've got no one to talk to, and you've got no one to say, yeah, Kane, you were pretty bad, but we'll be better next week or whatever, because managers aren't always truthful as such.
No, of course, yeah. And it's that was probably my first experience of it as well. So I took that quite like I said, I took it quite personally, but I think I ended up, I think when I went to Oxford, deleting Twitter and not using not being public on social media platforms as much then, because I didn't want to deal with that at all. I just wanted to have my little bubble, that my friends on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm public now, but I know that it's not going to annoy me now. I know that, like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm
you see that
28
from
going on 29 now. I'm not going to let people bring me down.
Good. That's nice to hear, man.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that happening now, that you'll see an account and it, like, say your account that people think is you, it's literally just all football. Just all football, just to keep everyone happy. But you'll have your own private one where you're doing other hobbies. You're DJing, you're playing with the decks.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help a lot, because you're not, you're like, yeah, it's football, leave it. Post it, leave it, keep the fans happy. But then you still get your outlay and the gratification from friends, family, about the stuff that, I'm not saying football and your job doesn't matter, but the real stuff that matters, like with your little one. And
the thing is as well, when you're like in my position now, every football player is, every athlete, everyone that's in like sort of, everyone's their own brand. So people need to use that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I not that, well, you are a brand, but not that I am a brand as such. But I like to use my social media now to advertise what I'm doing in the community, or little things that I want to give people. Because you're a brand, you social media now is, you can make money from it. Do you know what I mean? People make money from social media, so you'd be not stupid, but it's another tool in your arsenal if you can use it the right way, which hopefully over time I can do. So that's why I'm now public on these platforms, because I want, you're trying to build a perceived image of yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that can help. But then there's also the aspect of our generation use social media to interact with friends and family and things like that. And how much do you give, do you know what I mean, to the public who you don't know, and how much do you keep to yourself? So that's why you might find people that have a private account and an open account, because do you know what I mean, you can't be down in pints on a Saturday night on your public account, because you always inevitably people, what are you doing? You can't be doing that. Why not? I'm normal, just like you. We don't have a game on Tuesday, like we're off tomorrow. Why can't I have a drink with everyone else?
And I think you've touched on it quite a lot as well. And you just said now, like, you've obviously got through what you've been through. You're old now. You don't care what people think. And I think it's that line of understanding where it's like, well, that person, what they've said doesn't actually have an effect on my life. That's just them having an opinion, and being able to detach from that. Yeah. But like
that comes with time and maturity and age and experience, and it comes with a lot of things. Like when you're just 23, 24, you might not understand that as much.
I can't imagine what the feeling would be like, though. The overwhelming feeling of thinking that you've made it to where you want to make it to, but then you're alone. You're thinking about money, family, pressures of fans, pressures of managers, and you've got nobody to talk to.
Yeah, because the money thing at this level, it's you're still earning decent money, but it's not money that's going to change your life. It's not money where you're going to retire and you never have to work again. It's not that. Do you know what I mean? So, especially for a lot of players at this level, you're playing. I feel like you're playing for your next contract to be able to keep going. Do you know what I mean? Like, but eventually it's going to keep going down and down and down. And when I'm getting to 35, ending my football career, let's call him your average Joe, is in the twilight of his professional career in a normal job and has got that job secured for maybe the next 20, 30 years. Any athlete is starting again, completely blank slate. Do you know what I mean? That for me was one of the massive things that I used to think about. Like if this doesn't work, like, what am I going to do? I've got bills to pay like everyone else.
So even more precious, because you're thinking about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
at that time. So have you since I'm not going to say recovering, But since coming out of that dark place, have you created any plan, like creating something that you're going to go into after football?
I started doing my coaching badges, but they weren't for me. Like, I don't want to be out on a football pitch coaching. I just can't see myself doing it. I want to be doing stuff like this. I want to be speaking. That's why I'm trying to create that, like I said, with social media. And that's why I did the article that I did, not for, it was never something I planned to do. But once I'd spoke to the person I'd spoke to and he'd read it, he was like, you can use this in a way, hopefully, that gains traction, allows you to speak about it and presents opportunities in the future around these kind of things. I love sitting down and talking to people about this kind of stuff and mental health and how it impacts. If that's the word you want to use, but just, I never want anyone to feel like I used to feel sometimes. And I'm not saying that I was in the deepest, darkest place, because I'm sure there's people that have been lower than me and that have hit like full on rock bottom. But it's surprising, since I've done that, the amount of players that I've played with that are still playing, that have reached out and been like, yeah, like I get it. Like, we're all in that same boat, and it's, no one speaks about it. So can I be someone to do something about it? I don't know. Nothing might come of it, but hopefully that's the kind of career path I want to take.
Not saying that other people have taken the wrong angle at it, but I love that you've taken that angle. You haven't gone clothing brand, you haven't gone DJ label, because you like to mix, keeping that a hobby, because that could be not ruin football for you, because you are a professional footballer, but you say like you started to lose that love of what a kid was like, kicking around on a field or kicking around on the island with some cones and your mates.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've kept DJing as a hobby, and you're keeping that to yourself. You're not so long to be the next big DJ, the next big clothing brand. You've actually thought, I'm going to help people this way, which then might profit me, well, you, by profiting, helping others. And I think that is
and at the minute, it's not like, not that obviously you think, but it's not about the profit at the, like, I hope that comes in the future, but I just hope that it might not, like I said, but if there's opportunities that can come from me speaking about it, that then lead into me having like a free flowing transition from football into like something like that, brilliant. Like that's the intention. And you get to help people along the way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and that's what I love. Like you were saying, this whole black male persona, ego you have to put on, and I love the fact of that, one, you've spoken out, but two, you want to use that dark place to help others. And like I say, not even thinking about making money out of it, but if you can make a career out of helping people, clothes don't help people. DJing, music makes people feel better, but it doesn't help people. Whereas what you're going to do could bring hundreds to thousands of people from ultimately killing themselves.
Yeah. 100%.
And I love that you've taken down that barrier, that ego, that wall, to say, I'm happy that I want to help people now with where I was at. I think that's a great angle for you to take.
Understanding where I was, what I was feeling, and being happy to speak. Not everyone's going to be happy to speak about it. I always used to think like, not, maybe it sounds bad, but you know, when you'd read it like, oh, another one saying it, and I used to think like, how is everyone saying it? Like, everyone can't be like this, but the majority of people are. Do you know what I mean? The majority of people feel that way, and for anyone that feels like they're in a dark place, like, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have bad weeks, but when it starts festering into months and years, and a lot of the time for men, they don't understand. Like, men don't know what they're feeling. They don't know. Like, we don't understand our emotions. It's like, what? I don't know what I'm thinking. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm feeling. It takes a lot to be able to understand it and dissect it. Do you know what I mean? Like, when Carter was born, I started thinking about my dad loads, and like, my dad's never been on our life, but I started to think about him, and I couldn't understand why I was thinking about him, but it's because I never want my son to feel what I felt. Do you know what I mean? never want my son to feel like, why is dad not turned up again this week? Do you know what I mean? I never want my son to go through that. And I couldn't process why I was thinking about that so much and why it was getting me down. That's why you have to speak and get it out to understand it and move past it.
Just like little memories and thoughts in the back of your mind that what you felt like as a child and you couldn't work out like what? Yeah, that's 100%. That's an amazing way to put it. And I actually did a podcast with my mom a few weeks back, and we started to go into, people learned about my life that I hadn't even known because I'd never spoke to my mum about it because my dad walked out when I was 2. I saw him throughout, but never as much as I feel you should see a dad. And I feel exactly the same as what you do. As soon as I have a child, I'm going to give that child so much because of how I felt.
I can't comprehend, and this, you don't want to get into him, but like, how can someone have like a kid and just like, nah, I'm not turning up tonight. Like, I just don't get that. Do you know what I mean? And as a kid, it kills you. Do you know what I mean? You're like, what people don't realize is that you'll carry that around for years and years and years and years, and little things will keep probing that. Do you know what I mean? Probing that, and you'll carry it for so long. And then for me, it was when Carl was born, I was like, why am I thinking about my dad all the time? Like, why is he always in my mind? And it's because I never want my son to feel the way that I did. And that was a lot of the, like, a bit of the piece that, because obviously the guy that done the piece just focused sheerly on the football aspect of it. There's a lot more to why I felt the way that I did, like, of my dad, especially. And obviously there was a lot more to it. So stuff like that was what I'd be thinking about in the house as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and I take it that's where when you were brave enough to sought help, I take it that's where they delved into. They didn't care about the trolls, the football pressure. It was like, let's get back to the roots, to where this is really.
The first thing they say is like, give me like a roadmap of your childhood, and you go through like things that. So what do you remember from this age? And it's like, and then you get, well, I remember my dad leaving, and then you remember like sitting at the window and he doesn't turn up, and them kind of things there. And you kind of getting all that out allows you, because I'd never spoken about it to anyone. Just talking about it helped me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd never told anyone that kind of stuff. So just talking about it and getting it out helped me. I felt like that was what I needed the most. Obviously, people need to be guided through things. I think I was still at a place where I just had to get everything out. Not necessarily like people are in a bad place and they need stuff to. People will be given like antidepressants and stuff like that, and they're in like a real serious place where they need help daily. I didn't need that. I just needed to. Everything that I'd held on to for 10, 15, 20 years, get it out of my system and start again. And like I said, at the end of the you feel like you're floating. You feel unbelievable that you can, oh my God, I've just got all that out. Like, you've been carrying it around for so long. And you'd like to think you're a better person for it.
And it's crazy that it wasn't like you just suddenly said some stuff and other reactions are going to come from that, like changes. Just saying stuff, the fact that can make you feel so good. I think people don't get that until they've done it, which is why they don't do it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'd recommend Eileen, who I spoke to anyone, like anyone at all, because sometimes for people, it's talking to someone that they don't know helps them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're speaking to someone who... You're speaking to a stranger who isn't judging you, but you know they're there for your best intentions, rather than you can go and speak to your friends and your family, but they're also not trained to ask the right questions. Do you know what I mean? This is why I love speaking about it as well, because I feel like when you speak to people now, not that you're trained to ask the right questions, but you kind of know the next question to answer because you've been in that situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
I might say something to you and you'd be like, yeah, I get that, this, and this. It's like, well, how does that make you feel? Do you know what I mean? Like, your normal person doesn't ask that question. It's, just a reaction to what you're saying. It's not a
and I suppose friends and family, even if they do tell you sometimes how it is, it's not as much as they need to tell you. It's like, oh, you're gonna be okay, or oh, I know how you feel. Well, no, you don't know how I feel. And stop telling me it's gonna be okay, because it's not gonna be okay. Like, whereas a stranger,
it's not okay, guys. The world is not okay. Like, you don't know what's happening in here right now.
Yeah. Whereas a stranger they won't tell you that. They'll tell you, all right, Kane, that's not okay to be thinking that. That's not okay.
Why are you thinking that? Do you know what I mean? Like, the right questions to ask, which is when I felt like that's what I needed as well.
Yeah. So we'll dip back into football for a second. What would be your main tip for a youngster wanting to make it as a footballer?
Work hard. Don't be embarrassed to work hard, because I'm sure, you know, as an athlete, sometimes you can be labelled as the busy one, the one that's doing a bit too much. They're the ones that succeed. They're the ones that ultimately, even if they don't succeed at that level, they'll succeed at some level, because they will have that natural drive and that natural work rate that will get them to a level. So work hard, be humble, because you'll get humbled at some point. So be ready for it, and be humble.
When you get nutmegged at some point.
Anything. Be humble and try and enjoy it as much as you can, because
don't lose the love for it.
The lows may outweigh the highs a lot of the time, but enjoy the highs when you get them, because you don't know when the next one's going to come.
Amazing. So then, pushing on to what you want to do in the future, are you open to speak to people at the moment, or is that something you want to start doing when your playing career is finally over?
I've not mapped it out yet as such, but I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone around anyone at all. But like I said, hopefully me speaking about what I spoke about may open some doors in some capacity to talk on it. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But the ultimate goal is just to help as many people as possible. If I can help the community, I enjoy doing the charitable stuff. I enjoy the stuff I'm kind of trying to do at the minute with the local charity, helping out at the minute and trying to get people involved in that. So
you've been cooking meals, haven't you?
No, not at the minute. There's something me and my friend are going to do, but we're on an Easter egg hunt at the minute. So we're just trying to collect as many Easter eggs as possible for people within Burton, and just give them out. They're trying to collect 1,000, so we're well over 600-700 at the minute. So
that's
little things like that. Yeah, just
so would you?
It's nice just to help. Do you know what I mean? It's a rewarding feeling.
That's why I enjoy it. I don't make money out of this, but if one person can say, "Sam, I loved that interview with Kane, and that's actually helped me," I just feel so good. Like,
it's so good. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So, if anyone wanted to reach out for you, do you have an email address that you maybe have, or where people could?
Just DM me on Instagram, DM me on Twitter, get in touch. I'll receive it and I'll get back to them. I had some lad message me from Portugal after I put the thing out, and he said he was suffering with the same thing. He's over there. He's on his own. He's not playing. How do you deal with it? And I had a full blown conversation with him, just trying to say, listen, it's try and relax, try and embrace the fact that you're not the only one that will be in that position. Take comfort in knowing that you are not the only one that will be sitting scared before a game. Take comfort, like people put on fronts. So take comfort in that and just try and relax and enjoy it. And we had quite a good conversation about this. Never met him before. So some lad from Portugal. So that was quite nice. Anyone, yeah.
What's your Instagram, Kane?
What is mine? Kane H10_, I think.
And Twitter?
Same.
So exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Kane. I love that.
I appreciate having me on. Enjoyed it.
That was good.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining us on the Coffee with
No
Sam
worries.
podcast.
A little coffee and a podcast.